Welcome. I'm Nathan
I'm Lauren.
to your March 2026 4Thought. Thanks for taking a few moments and spending some time with us in our monthly newsletter video. Hope you're doing well. It is almost March as we're filming this. It's not quite March. And for someone who's from Florida, as many of you know, the winter time for me, it's not the season that I enjoy the most. I grew up without seasons. I didn't really have. I just had, it's just hot most of the time. So I do enjoy the different seasons where I live now in Western Pennsylvania. But this one is the one I could do without. I don't know. How about you, Lauren? Do you do a lot of winter sports? You do a lot of activities? What's going on?
No, I don't do many winter sports. The only activity that I did recently was took my kids to Disney on Ice on Saturday.
Tell me more about this.
So you've obviously never done it.
Well, my wife took our kids when they were around that age. I avoided it. I escaped. I escaped that period without having to go through it. But I heard a little bit. I want to hear your perspective.
Let me paint a picture for you, okay? Traffic jams downtown Pittsburgh, parking lot nightmare, 8,000 screaming kids, $15 boxes of popcorn.
That's all, just 15.
If any of you know me as well as Nathan knows me, he calls me the complaininator because I always have something to complain about. But I will say, and Nathan told me this many, many times, living in the moment's difficult for me. But when Elsa came out on stage and I looked at my 4-year-old daughter, Willa, and her eyes and that glow, the smile that she had, it was all worth it. So great. She was really locked in, and I finally understood what you've been talking about.
what I've been talking about. I only say that because I think our kids are a little older, and so I can now look back in photos and videos, and I'm wondering, man, was I really appreciating and being in the moment?
I don't know how anybody can do it all the time.
I definitely
no one can do it all the time, right?
But it's perspective gives you a little, gives a little perspective, and you say, man, I really wish I could go back to this time or that time or the other, and just kind of be there in that time. So that's great. Good to hear. I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah, and I'll just say before, as usual, if you're watching this is at a different time than we're filming it, and we just want to say USA, USA, USA because they won hockey gold today, first time since what, 1980?
Long time, very long time, and a very exciting game. We got up and watched it. With my son,
Any overtime. I mean, hockey 2-1 doesn't sound like a very exciting game, but it sure was.
It really was. So, talk about what we're gonna say this week. We've had a lot of meetings, as we do. We have a lot of meetings with clients. They've been a lot of fantastic meetings, a lot of great meetings with clients. And I think on the heels of 23, 24, 25, now we're starting to 26, and really, really outsized returns, really fantastic returns for the market, and fixed income now participating too.
Yeah, finally.
So we're having a lot of meetings where clients can be ahead of schedule in a lot of their financial plannings, and we're putting together the plan. We're documenting things, we're showing it, we're reviewing it, we're comparing it to where we thought they would be, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. We're saying, okay, now here's where you are today, and you're ahead of schedule. So it's great. But I think that we want to talk about and share some thoughts around that whole ahead of schedule, and kind of something that a result of that is that some of the clients that we're working with will tend to be out of sequence, tend to maybe not be as focused on the fundamentals of their plan because they maybe have done so well. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today. We wanted to talk about, basically two types of different clients, maybe the accumulators and what they're experiencing over the last few years, and some of the things that we've helped them with and what we're hearing in meetings from them. And then also in the distribution phase of clients who have grown significant wealth and are also, maybe ahead of their own schedule. And what we're seeing in those meetings.
So just like you said, those aren't technical problems, because technically on paper everything looks great.
You're doing good.
Doing very, very well. Maybe much better than good even. And I'll just talk, like Nathan said, we kind of have some similarities to the clients that we work with. We have the younger clients that are in the build phase, and then we have the older clients that are kind of in the distribution phase. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the meetings that I've had recently and some of the patterns that I've recognized in some of those distribution phases. So you kind of set a goal for yourself, and we help you do that, where we say, hey, here's the number that we have to hit to make everything happen, to achieve all the goals. And then once that number happens, and like Nathan was saying, now that number possibly has been exceeded because we had 3 years of kind of outsized market returns. And if people started taking distributions from their portfolio 3 years ago, those distributions have kind of been wiped out by the market growth. So it looks like they never took any distributions from their portfolio. And sometimes what that can lead to is the thought process that, hey, this is going to continue on forever. And instead of the original, 4% or 5%, and remember, it's not the same for everybody. It is
Sure.
true. Everybody has a unique circumstance that we try to help them focus on. But if we kind of pick a distribution percentage and you have 3 years where that, you never dipped into the principal, for lack of a better term, there, then I think what happens is people start saying, well, maybe I can pay off my son's mortgage, or maybe I can donate $50,000 to the church instead of $15,000 that we talked about. So I think that's where we start running into maybe some problems. And I'm sure Nathan's seen some of those things maybe on the other side of the coin with the younger clients too.
I think for folks, I mean, that's interesting you say that, obviously gifting and doing all those things and helping out your family, those are all great things to
do, and all part of the plan.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, we integrate those things into the plan as goals. But I think just making sure that the cart's not ahead of the horse. Did I say that right?
So it's one or the other.
So making sure that that they're going to be in a great situation in terms of their own financial plan and their own needs, their own goals, and still being able to accomplish those other things they want to do. But I'd say for me, if I was going to talk about the accumulation phase clients, I think what I see most is you go through a period like we've had over the last 3.5 years now almost, and if those accumulation clients and they're focused on, they're in a great place first off when we see them. If they're going to come and work with me, they're going to come and work with Lauren, they're usually doing a lot of things right. So they're already saving, they're putting money away, they're investing. I think a lot of times their portfolios, maybe they have, a lot of our tech folks will have concentrations in specific stocks, particularly the ones that they work at. And we'll see accumulations there over time. And up until maybe just recently, or maybe even still today, maybe those stock portfolios or those accumulated, that concentrated positions have done very well. So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right. And so, and they'll say, well, let's just leave that alone because it's doing great. And I think what I see on the accumulation phase clients, when on the heels of fantastic growth period that we've had, is just maybe a loss of focus around the fundamentals on why you're working with us to begin with. We're going to help you make sure that you're diverse for a reason, because you're not going to have these type of returns. I mean, I would love to have 20% returns every year in the market, but as we all know, over time, the market rises, but it's not without some noise. It's not without some up and down over time.
And just like you said earlier about the seasons, oftentimes you'll see that in asset classes. So depending upon the asset class you have, it's in season or it's out of season. And that's part of what you were saying, why we need to focus on the diversification so much.
Right. So that's what I tend to see most of, is like just not focusing on that. And also with the younger folks, they're raising young families, as you just mentioned. They're going to things like Disney on Ice. They're doing things like sports. They're coordinating a lot of things around their family. But something that maybe we don't see as much is coordinated efforts that are between their tax professional, maybe an estate attorney. So what my role, what Lauren's role, what our role would be in those meetings, I think a lot of times is just quarterbacking that, making sure that things are coordinated, making sure that we're focusing on the blocking and the tackling, making sure that, well, just because the market's done fantastic, we want to make sure that everything is sound, that we're putting together something that's going to work not only right now, but 10 years and 20 years from now.
Yeah, and now's the time to do it. Just like you said, Nathan, when the market's still positive or in a positive flow, this is the time to take a moment and have a conversation to make sure that all the fundamentals are in place and that we're following those as closely as we can. So if this sounded like we were talking to you or about you, always feel free to contact us. We're always happy to have a deeper conversation offline. If this feels like someone in your life could benefit from that same conversation, we always want to communicate that we're open to that. We want to help anybody that obviously needs our help.
Certainly.
And of course, if it's someone that you care about, then we care about them too. So hopefully we're making these videos a little bit shorter. So we'll kind of end it at that for this month. And we'll say thanks again. We appreciate all the time you give us on these videos and of course in our meetings and calls. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.
Thank you.